Today we're going to be covering the Objectives and Key Results framework and how to set them up to align them to focus using some lean practices. So I've been using Objectives and Key Results now for around 6 years in our business, and it's been very successful for us to create alignment across our teams. How the Objectives and Key Results framework came about is John Doerr worked at the Intel Corporation, and they used the framework there to manage their business. And then when he moved across to Google, he met with the founders, Sergey Brin and Larry Page, and introduced the OKR framework there. And it was very successful in the Google organization. There's good examples of that in the book that talks about how they used it for things like the Chrome browser, and they used the objectives to continue it to become the best browser in the world. So it's a pretty good case study, but the main differences between objectives and key results and key performance indicators are separating the objective from the measure so that you can then change the key result to improve the alignment to the objective, because it's often difficult to understand exactly what the key result is that you need to measure to achieve the particular outcome that you might be looking for. So having them separate allows you to keep an objective consistent throughout a year or throughout a couple of quarters, while you continually change the key results to improve your alignment and success at achieving that objective. So for example, if you have an objective at company level, that would then roll down to the team level, which could then roll down to the individual level. At the company level, you may have something like increase revenue, and multiple teams may be able to contribute to that. So the sales team may be able to bring in additional projects or generate new business, and the delivery team may be able to improve their effectiveness throughout delivery to bring additional revenue in fast. So a couple of different ways you can do it. What I found in our organization with the OKR framework is it's very good, and the book describes it quite well, at how it rolls down. So that example I just gave for revenue, for example, that's a pretty clear description in the OKR framework inside the book. But what it doesn't actually cover is where the objectives should be aligned at the company levels. If you don't apply focus to the OKR framework, then you end up building a large collection of strategic initiatives that dilute your resources and don't create focus. So what I mean by that is, in the framework it talks about having 3 to 5 objectives and key results, 3 to 5 objectives, and then underneath each objective 3 to 5 key. But what I've found is if you set up 4 to 6 objectives, then your resources don't all focus on the same thing. You really do need to align them, I found. Otherwise your players do get lost in the middle of the field, if that makes sense. So if you're trying to get the ball from one side of the pitch to the other side of the pitch, your players need to be passing the ball between each other and successfully doing those handoffs throughout the play. Otherwise, that's the way. So what I've developed is a way to align those. So one thing that I'm really passionate about is focus. So I love the One Thing book. It's just one thing that you need to focus on, and that's what I've applied to the business level here. So defining one thing that we're focusing on as an organization, and the objectives and key results all align toward that one thing. The other person I really, Alex's description of this in his work, and I put some links to that in the content today, but he talks about focus in terms of focus of a magnifying glass, and you need to have that exact focal point right, and all the energy needs to be concentrated on one point for it to burn through, otherwise it just warms up the paper. And the other example was a party one, which I thought was pretty funny, but I'll provide that information in the pack as well. But what I've done here is essentially used a lean engineering tool. So this is not normally used for business strategy. I think I'm the only one that's come up with it. The other ones that I found out there were related to, essentially it's a manufacturing tool for identifying root cause analysis or cause and effect. So essentially how I've used it for strategy is essentially defining one outcome that the organization is striving to achieve, and so the action to achieve an outcome, so increase market share or to revenue or whatever that particular thing is that you're trying to achieve, then you can focus it on here. So focus it on a product or service for a market. So that means you don't have to be all things to all people. What specifically in our organization we're going to focus on, which product and which market, and bring all the resources together in alignment with that. So if you look at the lead generation side, in lead generation, I would focus on a particular geography or segment of the market and then align the lead generation function toward that. I'd have one objective and key results on lead generation. And then in sales, I would then focus on the ideal sale type. So what does that, is it the ideal customer within that segment, or is it the ideal size of opportunity? what makes it ideal is different for every organization, but we'd focus on ideal sales. So that means we'd narrow that effort in and focus it even more. So we've got focus at the company level and then focus at each of these objectives and key result levels too. And then you would focus on a particular product or service that we're targeting for this specific year. So you don't have to focus all your resources on all of your products and all of your services every year, otherwise you dilute all of your effort. This is about focusing it all in to get the maximum result for the organization. So again, I'd have just one objective and key result there. And then on this one here, I would have a team-based outcome if that's important for you at this point in time. So whether you're trying to achieve a particular outcome for your team, whether it's increasing engagement, whether it's increasing accountability or outcomes, whatever it might be, you can capture it at that level too. So this is just an example of 4 possible categories that you might work on. I'm going to provide in the content that I hand across another set of possible ones of these that you could have, but I'd argue you should definitely not have more than 4. I think 4 is probably the right number, and frankly 3 looks a bit ugly on the diagram, so I wouldn't go with 3, and 2 is too little, and 6 is too many, because that means if you've got 6 then you're not focused really, are you? So I think 4 is a really good number to work with, so I think this is a good shape for the strategy and the objective and key results framework. What I will provide through is the alternative definitions of what you could have on each of these, one of these 4 things, based on the McKinsey 7S, EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, and the Scaling Up Methods. And I'll hand over the tool for this, which will be an Xmind, and you can install Xmind for free to be able to use this framework. And the other thing that I thought might be helpful as well is a lot of teams really struggle with objectives and key results, that is, defining key results that aren't really measurable, or defining key results that don't align with the objective, or having a loosely defined objective. So what I've done is I've made an OKR brainstorming tool as well. So I'll be providing that through to you as well. So it can teach you about the OKR framework and how it works. So it can explain how the book describes it. So it's all based on John Doerr's book. And then the other thing it can do is then help apply that to your context. So if you click the second one, it will ask you a bunch of questions about your organization and help come up with some objectives and key results that are aligned to achieving the outcomes that you're looking for. And it will be pretty inquisitive to help come up with what it is that you need to set your strategy for success. So I hope that's useful. So again, I'll be providing all of the information through for you in the Notion page. And yeah, if you do the content that you're seeing so far, I do have quite a lot still to go. You can see here, this is a very big diagram of things that I still need to cover. So feel free to follow along by subscribing, and yeah, hopefully you've got a lot of value out of this. Thanks.